And God said, Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so.
Okay, what does God not say here? He does not say, let the mountains rise and the valleys fall. The dry land appears simply as a result of God collecting the waters under the heaven together in one place. A difficult enough feat on the flat earth imagined by the civilizations which originated the creation story. But to be scientifically accurate on the earth as we know it today? Let's just think about this for a moment, literally. Strip away your preconceptions and imagine a primeval globe. It hangs there in space with no land visible. Everything is submerged. Should not be that hard to picture. How would you go about gathering all the water together into one place on this globe? Perhaps it looked like this. Of course, Newton didn't invent gravity until 1687, so perhaps it was okay to have all the water piled up in one place. Now, the apology for a creationist apologist will rewrite this verse in his mind and tell you that God raised up the mountains and sank valleys to form the land. If they do that, just ask them to point that passage out to you. It simply isn't there in this divinely inspired creation story. So let us consider again this primeval earth. Now, the furthest point on the earth's surface from the centre of the earth is, as you all of course know, Chimborazo. This is a volcanic mountain, and there's no mention of volcanoes here, though there is plenty of evidence of volcano gods in the Bible. Thunderfoot has an entertaining video to start you off on that tangent. Now, the fifth highest mountain, measured from the centre of the earth, is, as you all know, Mount Everest. Interestingly, the peak of Mount Everest, 5.5 miles above sea level, is limestone. And limestone is made from the shells of billions of teeny-weeny little sea creatures, which God has yet to make. So how did all that limestone get 5 miles up in the air? I can sense the gentle creationist mantra of Noah's flood here, but I'll resist addressing that absurdity for the moment. Why did the great creator, he who can do as he wishes simply by uttering a word, create an unformed earth, which then required waters being removed to above the heavens and the waters that were left piled up so that land could appear? Why not just put it in place fully formed and have done, as he will shortly do with trillions of stars, planets, asteroids, comets, etc., etc.? If you were a supreme being that could manifest anything you desired simply by speaking it, would you bother with all those interim steps? On the other hand, if you were someone lacking in scientific understanding, trying to make sense of the world around you and wanting a seemingly coherent story as to how things came to be the way they are, then this series of events might go some way towards explaining it for you. Anyway, the earth has been around for exactly 2 days at the start of these verses. What do you think that earth was like? Let me put it another way. What do you think is required to grow plants? Soil. What is soil? It's what we grow stuff in. But we cannot grow any stuff in any soil. Individual plants require a certain pH balance in the soil. Different plants require different soil consistency. Some require more water than others. And the nutrient balance is important for all plants. This isn't a biology video, but it takes little investigation to understand that plants are adapted to a wide variety of environments. And even the most amateur of gardeners knows that plants can be picky about where they thrive. And so, on this day 2 of the old earth, where the dry land has just appeared, where no erosion has taken place, where no soil has been broken down by animal life, where no organic nutrients were available to fertilise the soil, where the soil was uniformly sodden to the core, just how was it that the earth brought forth grass and herbs and trees? There is something even deeper to consider now, and that is divine fiat. I'm 13 verses in and halfway through God's creative process. So it's worth pausing for thought on the actual structure of Genesis chapter 1, because I'll refer back to this later on. There appears to be two gods in this creation myth. One is the God who creates through divine fiat. This God speaks things into existence. He then names them. Names have long been seen as powerful things. Consider the superstitions surrounding Yahweh's name in the Bible, or the Scottish play, or Rumpelstiltskin. Many of our forebears considered that knowing the name of something gave them power over it. And this might be behind the motif which we see God naming as he creates, and later on him giving man the power and thus dominion over the animals by naming them. And so this supreme God would need only to name something for it to become manifest. Perhaps this was the original Genesis creation myth. But this did not serve the purposes of the priests, who wished to emphasize the Sabbath, and it would appear that they wove their own version of things into the creation myth. Their God was a working God. He did not create by divine fiat, but by labour. He physically divided the light from the darkness, physically made the firmament, and physically divided the waters. At the end of each action, he considers his work and deems it good, the way a labourer would. And at the end of each day's labours, this physical God rests, which will eventually lead to his resting on the seventh day, the Sabbath. There is no need for the working God to appear here. The divine fiat is enough to explain the creation. But the working God is needed to explain the Sabbath. And the editing of Genesis 1 to fit this best explains the seeming repetition that is found therein. The sources of the creation story, Genesis 1:1-2:4 by Julian Morgenstern, goes into this in some detail and examines the underlying Hebrew text to highlight how the syntax and grammar indicate where additions and redactions have taken place. It's a short essay and it's worth a read as it provides a compelling argument. And I think I'll leave it there for today. A lot more could be said, but I hope I've given you a slightly different perspective and something to think about. Thank you, as always, for watching.